I appreciate it. I want to show my support for what my colleague just said, Senator Risch. It made perfect sense. And this is a consequential vote. We all know how it's going to end. But let me tell you why it's consequential. A lot of people are watching what we're doing here today, and they're trying to get a signal, understand like where we're all coming from. Let me tell you where I'm coming from. I'm coming from the idea that if you want to end the war between Israel and the Palestinians, we need to replace Hamas with somebody who doesn't want to kill all the Jews. Hamas attacked Israel on October the 7th, killing more Jews than any time since the Holocaust. What were they up to? Their pledge to destroy the Jewish state. They're religious Nazis. If you don't believe me, listen to what they've said. It was barbaric. They slaughtered entire families. They decapitated children's heads. They raped women in front of their own family. And they filmed it to create hard hearts throughout the world and the region. The Nazis hid their crimes. Hamas filmed it so you could see it. Why? October the 7th, in large part, not completely, was designed to stop efforts to have Saudi Arabia and Israel recognize each other and virtually end the Arab-Israeli conflict. I've been to the region 7 or 8 times since October the 7th. I went with a group of 5 Republicans and 5 Democrats right after October the 7th to deliver 2 messages. Went to Saudi Arabia, the biggest power in the Islamic world, and I went to Israel. And to our friends in Israel, I said, we will give you, at least from my view, the ability to make sure there is no second Holocaust. And the weapons we provided to Israel has resulted in the destruction of Hamas. There is no way forward for the Palestinians until you reform the PA, which is run by a bunch of corrupt old guys, and make sure Hamas never comes back. The most radicalized population on the planet are young people in Gaza. From the time they're born to the time they die, they're taught to hate and kill the Jews. Look at their education system. How do we change that? Somebody other than Israel has to come in and take over Gaza and reform the West Bank to give the Palestinians a better life. It will not be the United States. We can't do that. It's certainly not going to be Israel. Well, who would it be? It'd be the Arab world. The Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia has a vision for his country and the region that I buy into. We've had our problems in the past for sure. But women can drive, which is a big thing, even though it doesn't sound like it. Women can go out to dinner without a male escort. Doesn't sound like a big thing, but it really is. 38% of the people working in Saudi Arabia are young women. So he has a vision to change his country and to build on the Abraham Accords. President Trump and his team was able to get 6 Arab nations to recognize Israel, the United Arab Emirates and others, which was a huge deal. And we have a chance to build on it. So for the last 2.5 years, I've been going over to Saudi Arabia and Israel, working with the Biden administration to try to build out the Abraham Accords. And the big prize would be have Saudi Arabia make peace with Israel, take over Gaza and the West Bank with other people in the region, and give the Palestinians a better life, rebuild Gaza, create honest government to replace corrupt government, give them sovereignty, self-government, the ability to live dignified lives, and to give Israel security. October the 7th was designed by Hamas to stop what was imminent. I'm here to tell you that in October, before October the 6th, by the way, there were discussions about how to roll out the normalization deal. Along comes October the 7th. Ever since that day, we've been dealing with this horrible situation. The rape and torture and destruction of 1,200 Jewish people, the response by Israel that's resulted in thousands of people being killed, a lot of terrorists, but a lot of children, a lot of innocent people. There are a lot of photos being presented. I want to introduce two photos. Unanimous consent, if I may. This is a photo of Hiroshima. Two photos, actually. This is what happens when you drop a nuclear weapon on people. It's not good. Now, why did we do that? After Pearl Harbor, we and the civilized world went to war against the Nazis and Imperial Japan. Millions of people lost their lives. But it was the goal of the United States to defeat Nazi Germany and Imperial Japan, and we're able to do that. Out of the ashes of that terrible, horrible war, we now have two democracies. Japan and Germany are good allies of the United States. They're productive members of the international community. It took a generation plus to change the radicalization of the German population through the Nazis, and the same in Imperial Japan. What will happen is if we can find normalization between Saudi Arabia and Israel, there will be hope for the Palestinians I have not seen before. Those who want a two-state solution, we've got to sit down and talk about how you do that after October the 7th. But I do believe without resolving the Palestinian issue where the Palestinian people have a hopeful life versus a glorious death, we'll never move forward. I really do believe after October the 7th, Israel needs security more than ever. What's the key? The Arabs. The Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, MBZ, and the United Arab Emirates, I think, hold the key to this. If we could create a political horizon over the arc of time for the Palestinians that you will have self-governance, that you'll be independent, and convince the Israelis that this new entity will not threaten you, there can never be another October the 7th, then we're well on our way to a new region. This resolution today, no matter how sincere, undercuts all this. Israel has had to respond to an attack that was the most vicious since World War II against the Jewish people. I blame Hamas more than any other group about the loss of life in Gaza because they used their own people as human shields. This commitment of the United States to give Israel what they need to win a war they can't afford to lose has to be uncompromising. But what's not uncompromising is the day after. We're getting to the point now that with the destruction of Hamas, we've got to think about how can we prevent them from coming back. Israel cannot occupy Gaza. The West Bank needs to be reformed, but it has to be done with the Arab world leading the charge. So what I'd like to do with President Biden before he leaves office is work with President Trump, the incoming president, and President Biden, the outgoing president, to find a solution. Can we lock down a normalization agreement between Saudi Arabia and Israel that protects Saudi Arabia, a defense agreement with the United States, so they'll be in our column and they will have an antidote to Iranian aggression? And can we, as a part of that, create a political horizon for the Palestinians to have hope where there is despair? Yes, we can. But now's not the time to send this signal. This signal will be seen by the enemies of Israel and the enemies of peace as if they just stick with it, they will win. If you want peace, you have to destroy those who hate peace. This is not a Bibi problem. This is a problem where their Islamic terrorists, Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iran, want to kill all the Jews, not just Bibi. Now, why do they want to do that? They're religious Nazis. I don't know why Hitler wanted to kill all the Jews, but he did. So the Ayatollah has a couple things in mind. The purification of Islam, which means that Sunni Islam will bend to his will. If you don't believe me, ask the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. The other goal is to destroy the Jewish state and to drive us out of the Mideast. The religious doctrine of the Shiites in charge compel them to kill all the Jews. It's a commandment from God. Here's what I know. That's not what Islam teaches most Muslims, but they believe it. And when we ignored Hitler, we did so not only at our own peril, but the peril of millions of people. What have I learned from history? When someone threatens to kill you because you're of a particular race or religion, you should take that seriously. So how do we end this conflict? We end this conflict with the complete decimation of Hamas, a plan for the day after that will replace Hamas in Gaza, reform the PA, try to get a ceasefire in Lebanon, and reduce the impact that Hezbollah has on the Lebanese people. All of the Shiite, Iranian-backed militia have as their goal disruption, upheaval, and tyranny. They want to control the region and remake it in their own image. Look what they're doing in Syria, look what they're doing in Yemen, look what they're doing in Lebanon. We have a historic opportunity here to give Israel what they need to finish the war they can't afford to lose, come up with a day-after plan that would replace Hamas with a better life, try to get Lebanon in a better space, and build on the Abraham Accords. This effort by my colleagues undercuts all of that. You have every right to say anything you want to say in this body, but I've been there a lot, and none of you have gone with me. Making peace is hard. We haven't done this together. I've been with Senator Van Hollen to Israel. I've been to Senator Van Hollen before in the region. I think he wants to help the Palestinians, and I don't think he's anti-Semitic. I just think there's an opportunity here, and it's not about Bibi, folks. It's about a strain of Islam that will kill every Jew, including Bibi, and come after us unless they're defeated. So my goal is not only to reject this idea, but to work with President Biden and President Trump and their teams before the next president takes office to have a day-after plan that will allow Israel to withdraw, and there'll be no more October 7th, and allow Gaza and the West Bank to be rebuilt with dignity and hope. That is my goal. This resolution undercuts my goal. I would urge you to vote no. And I will be going back next week to Saudi Arabia. And I'm going to keep working with the Biden administration and the incoming Trump administration to the last hour, to the last minute of the last day to find a solution. And I would end with this. If we fail to find a day-after plan that allows Israel to withdraw and be secure, and fails to deliver a political horizon for the Palestinians, God help us all. This will repeat itself. Iran will come back. Hezbollah and Hamas will reemerge. We have a moment in time to change the region and change the world, and I would ask all of us to seize that moment, and this resolution is counter to what I'm trying to achieve. So I would urge a no vote, because peace and a dignified life for the Palestinians rest with a viable day-after plan. And what is the proper response to people who want to kill you and your family and destroy your way of life? I can tell you what the United States did. We went to war. We dropped 2 atomic bombs to end a war we couldn't afford to lose. What is the right response to those who want to kill all the Jews? Make sure they don't have the capability to do it. Thank you. Yield.